Our son's religious wife told him to stop gymnastics because she thinks being around girls will make him bad. She told everyone I kidnapped him and hit her when I said no. Now that our son is getting older, we've been having a lot of arguments about him. This is the latest one. Even though we got married years later, I met my wife in youth group. She's also been the more strict one between us. And while I agree that you should be strict up to a point, I think she's been too strict at times, and I've had to step in and tell her no. When our son asked to skip youth group on a Friday to go to a friend's birthday party, she said no because God should come first. I understood why she said that, but I told her she was being unfair and that missing a Friday here and there wouldn't hurt. He wanted to sleep in on one of his birthdays, but she wanted him to come. They had a similar talk. I told her again that it wasn't a big deal. In the end, he was allowed to stay home, but she was still mad in the car and most of the time at church. On top of that, she doesn't want him to have any friends who aren't Christian. I think that was one of the main points we made. She told me that she felt that way because she made a lot of mistakes after she stopped following God after high school because she thought she didn't need him anymore. She was trying to keep him from making the same mistakes. I told her I knew where she was coming from, but making him do or go somewhere he doesn't want to will not help him in the long run and will only make him angry. But she's sure he'll start drinking and doing other bad things like she did. She says those memories bother her so much that she doesn't want him to ever have to make the same mistakes she did. This is what I'm writing because of our most recent fight. She wants him to stop gymnastics because she thinks it's bad for him to be around a lot of girls in tights. She also thinks that God wants us to keep our eyes off of things that could take our attention away from him. She also says that the sport gives him a lot of easy chances to become horny in a setting that seems perfectly normal. I knew it would be pretty useless to try to talk her out of this one, but I did it anyway. She can think whatever she wants, but that doesn't mean other people will agree with her. Besides that, I told her that doing gymnastics isn't wrong, especially since he loves it so much. She told me that she didn't want him to be around places where girls of different ages were common because she didn't want him to start looking at younger girls. That's when I lost it. I told her that I agreed with her desire to talk to him about being pure, but that she was wrong to base her decisions on her religion and assume the worst for our son. She thought our son would think that way, but I told her she was wrong, along with why she's wrong to think that way about gymnastics. I then told her that she would no longer drive him or let him go after his current class. I told her that she was wrong and always going too far with everything, and that she was also showing him a crazy Christian example. After that, I went to bed because I had to be at work in the morning. We talked right before I went to sleep, but she said she wanted to talk to me first. My son called me this morning before I went to work to tell me what she had said. She had told him that this would be his last term of gymnastics. She also told him that it was her job to keep him safe while he lived with us. I wanted to talk to her over dinner when I got home today. I told him he could take his food upstairs, but she insisted that we eat at the table. When we were done, she said that her choice was final because she had to drive him, and she wouldn't listen to me when I tried to talk to her. I finally told my son that I would talk to her about it and that he shouldn't worry about anything. That made him look a little better. Possibly because he knew I usually stood by him. But I'm not sure what to do in this case. She drives him because I can't do it while I'm at work. It makes me sick that I even have to ask someone to share him, but I'm going to do it anyway. But what bothers me most is that she doesn't want to keep him after the term is over. This makes me think about paying for it with my own money. But since we share our money, I know she'll get mad about it, and there's still the matter of how he's going to get there. If you have any ideas on how to make this work, please let me know. I don't agree with her, and he shouldn't have to quit because of what she knows. But I also know that our marriage is what's really wrong. I told her she should go to therapy, but she won't. I went by myself for a while, and it helped. I want to help her, and I know she's been through a lot. That's why she wants him to stay close to God so badly. But I don't agree with how she's doing it, and I'm not sure if I'll ever be able to fully understand her. In short, my wife wants my son to stop gymnastics because she thinks it will make him want to be with other people. She also says that she doesn't want him to be around girls in tights because it's bad for him, because she ran away from God and made mistakes before coming back to him, which is why she's so strict about cleanliness and other things. Update 1, it's been a few days since my last post, so I'll get right to it. Last time, I said that my wife wanted my son to stop gymnastics because she thinks that being around other girls in gymnastics clothes will make his mind lust and be wicked. This is after she talked to him about being pure and other things. I haven't done enough to change her ways over the years. When she made him feel bad about skipping a youth group meeting to go to a birthday party, she did it because she thought God should come first in everything. She also doesn't want him to have non-Christian friends because she thinks they will turn him away from God even more. I see this as going against the Great Commission in the New Testament. It's not that I think everyone should try to bring up religion in every talk and be seen as weird, but Jesus spent most of his time with people who weren't perfect. the opposite of what she was told. To avoid having to go to the party, she tried to make him skip it. I said no, which was the easy thing to do, when he wanted to hang out with friends who weren't exactly Christians, and she threw a fit. I wanted to tell her that judging someone based on a mental picture we have of them before we even meet them is a form of prejudice. I thought it shouldn't have been a problem in the first place, but I took the easy way out again and told him he could keep them. I agreed to let her have the purity talk she wanted with him, too. I was pretty quiet during the talk, which I now understand was a big mistake for these reasons. To be honest, this whole situation that's been building for years has made me tired of her religious nonsense and religion in general, because I think it's very dishonest to use religion as an excuse for small beliefs that people want to push. Some people really think it's wrong to get divorced, even if it's not their business. For years, I did nothing because the thought of splitting up and the reactions from our church, parents, and friends would be too much for me to handle. I used to care, but now I don't really. Because of her, I have become less interested in faith over the past few years. I became even less interested after hearing her say that our son would look at girls in the same place he has grown up with lust. If I may say so myself, it just doesn't sit well with me. She sexualizes a sport and said that our son might turn into a pervert if he stayed. That hit home more than anything else she said, and it makes me wonder if she doesn't already think that way. What did I do? I chose to talk to her about it alone first before I did anything else. I asked her if she had a personal grudge against gymnastics. She said she didn't. I told her that trying to get him to quit would only make him hate us. She said something about how the world tends to make sexual things out of things that aren't sexual, and that gymnastics encourages girls to wear clothes that are easy to look at inappropriately. They then talked about how God wants us to have clean eyes and other things. When I said that she might be projecting her own problems onto her, I thought about whether it was too harsh to say, but I decided to do it anyway. She said no and didn't want to talk about it. In the end, I asked her if she would be willing to go to therapy with me. We would find a professional counselor in the area. She said no, so I suggested we talk to someone inside the church first. She got angry and said I was trying to make her look bad in front of her friends. I told her that wasn't true and that she wasn't cooperating when working things out in a marriage is what it's all about. She then got angry and told me I was cheating on her because I wouldn't let our son stay in a place where he'd get older as younger girls kept coming in. She also said that the fact that I let him stay there said a lot about what I felt comfortable looking at. That was it for me because I felt like she was accusing me of cheating just because I don't think he should quit gymnastics. Yes, I could talk to other parents and try to set up a carpool. If I could get off work early enough some days, I could also drive him myself. But I can't control what she does at home when I'm not there because she's already talked to him several times while I'm at work, trying to explain why she wants him to quit and other things. Anything else I can do if she doesn't want to talk or work with me? I told my son that we were going to my parents' house for the weekend and maybe even a little longer. I was clear about why we were going. Again, I told him that I was on his side and that I thought it was wrong that she was sexualizing sports and kids in a way that was not acceptable. I also said that I didn't think we needed to deal with that now that he was a teen. I also said I was sorry for letting her get away with things for so long because I was afraid of being apart from her, and I thought a lot about whether I should be so open about telling him everything at his age. I did that because I didn't want him to think that I kept things from him as he got bigger and through this. It was making me stressed at work, too, and I couldn't concentrate on my work. This gave him the courage to tell me that he feels bad about wanting to go. I told him that was wrong, and that he has no reason to feel bad about it. Of course, she shouldn't have made him have these worries in the first place. My parents are helping me find a lawyer and other ways to make him feel better. This has been going on for too long, and I'm partly to blame. I just want to know how to help him deal with the guilt he expressed after hearing what she said. Besides telling him I support him and think she's wrong, she already makes him question himself every time he's in the gym. And all I want to do is help him get through it as best I can and fix the problems her nonsense caused. When we got there, my wife didn't know we had left until we got there. I told her why we had left, and she seemed a little sorry on the phone. She said I was trying to trick her into going to therapy when I asked her again if she was okay with it. I told her to call me back if she changed her mind. But fixing the damage she's done to him is still my top priority, even though I need to focus on getting better mentally and might have to go through a split if she doesn't change, which I'm not sure about since we left and she still wouldn't think about treatment. But being up here is more peaceful and healthy after the stress of work and being at home. Finally, I wanted to bring this up again since it's been almost a month. To be honest, I'm very tired right now. I wrote a lot the last 2 times, but I don't think I will this time because I'm getting so tired of it. In short, I told her why we were leaving while we were still living with my parents, and that I'd come back if she changed her mind. From a religious point of view, she wouldn't change her mind about the fact that he shouldn't be in the same room as little kids, especially girls. because she thinks that everything that isn't sexual is turned into something sexual, and she often says that she thinks the sport is just a way for horny people to get pleasure from watching girls run around in leotards. She tells him this nonsense while I'm at work, and it drives me crazy. There was a part of me that knew she was at home telling him crap that I would have to fix later. I said in my report that I'm trying to do better, but it's been really stressful and still is after almost a month. A lot of her behavior is because I've been lazy over the years. As soon as we got to my parents' house, we stayed for a while, but she started to lie about me to her parents and common friends. Her parents and some of her friends started to call or text me on her behalf and call me a bad husband and other things. She supposedly told them that I took our son and other lies about how bad I am because of them. They also said I touched her once, which I swear never happened to us, not even when we were talking about going to therapy. Their words to me were that she was trying to force me to go back on her terms, and that I should stay with them, because she has really lost it. We've been here ever since, but I'm not at work today because I've been mentally ill for more than a month. The stress my son feels from having to find a lawyer and do other legal study with my parents is from everything that happened at our house and the new lies. It's also taken a lot of time away from my parents' lives, but they've been great, and I want to thank them now and when it's all over. My parents and I are both tired right now from talking to the cops and getting paperwork ready for them and my lawyer. We're still trying to figure it out, though, and we know it will take a while. I don't care how much it costs to clear up our lives and see a therapist together. But my son doesn't want to go. Along with my parents, I told him that he could go with me or by himself if he wanted to. We weren't making him. But he said he didn't want it at that time, so we didn't push the subject. I've also started talking to one online in my free time, and my parents are helping me pay for it a little. But my son no longer wants to do gymnastics, and he's still very hard on himself for everything that's happened, even though my dad and I have told him many times that it's not his fault. I'm to blame for letting her slide down this slippery slope for so long. But he doesn't want to do it, and has said he feels bad about being around girls and making them uncomfortable without realizing it. But I told him that was just his mom making him think that, and it's not true. But I feel bad that I agreed with her desire to teach purity and kept us in a church that makes fun of people who have had abortions, like the girl I talked about in my second report. This is the church where she told lies about me, and I have no plans to go back there ever again. He is also having a hard time with his schoolwork right now. She went to class with them too, so he hasn't been there yet. My lawyer thinks it's best to wait for now so that he can get along with others and so she can go to class herself. But he wants him to go back as soon as possible. I agree with you. I'm also looking into ways for him to do most of his work online, but that's still something I'm working on. But most importantly, I want to help him find someone to talk to about how he feels. If I want to help him professionally, I can't do that. If I want to help him mentally, I'll stand by him until he decides to do something else. He feels bad about it. For what I already said, it wasn't just what happened with his mom, she also told him that he was interested in girls at gymnastics without him knowing. Things I don't want him to get a problem over because of her nonsense, but my other main goal is to get a divorce after this last straw. I've had enough, and I don't know how much longer this will go on. Probably for a while, but he's sick and tired of gymnastics right now, and my parents think it's best for him to see someone as soon as possible. That's why I'm probably going to make him go at some point, but I don't know how to do it without being too strict, which he will hate. And if anyone knows how to get him to leave without making him angry, resentful, or unwilling to help us with some of the legal stuff she may have said to him, even though I know that's not my top priority, I'd really appreciate it. It hasn't been easy on him, and I just want it to be over. I know that this is what happened because I let her get away with small things over the years that led to this, but if we can get through it okay, maybe we'll both be stronger in some way. Next story, my boyfriend's surprise was bringing in my parents, who I don't talk to very often, without telling me. I spoiled his surprise, and he yelled at me that he had every right to meet them. My boyfriend, 26M, and I, 23F, have been dating for a little over 8 months. It was also my birthday in early November. I was excited because it was the first time either of our birthdays would be spent together, and he had been hinting at a surprise all through October. To set the scene, I should say that my relationship with my parents is very difficult. He knows this because we've talked in depth about why it's true. He knows that my parents aren't involved with me and haven't been for 2 years. Because of how close I am to my parents, I've spent my birthday with my best friend, whom I think of as family, for the past couple of years. On my birthday, my boyfriend told me that the treat he had planned was a dinner with my family. I thought it meant my sister and her husband and my friend and her partner. I was wrong. My parents were coming from a different place as a surprise, which he had planned. I didn't understand why he would bring them. But maybe I was too angry. I don't think I stayed there for more than 30 minutes before leaving the diner and driving home. It was hard for me to listen to my parents put me down while my boyfriend was there, so I don't remember much of it. My boyfriend came over to my house the next day. I knew we were going to talk about yesterday, but I think I was waiting for him to say sorry. He didn't. He was mad at me for breaking the surprise he had been planning for a long time. He said he only wanted to give me a chance to get along with my parents normally. I guess I can see where he's coming from. But I didn't like how he tried to explain it. He wasn't really open to what I said when I told him this. He only said that as my boyfriend he had the right to ask about my parents. Even though I understand what he means, I still feel like I need to say sorry. Am I the jerk for ruining my birthday surprise? Talk about where Op answered, talk about her OMG. You're really NTA. But your boyfriend. I think this isn't the first time he's treated you badly. He doesn't need to know about your guardians, family, friends, bank account, or even your favorite color. Does he always make it about him? Out of the box. What shocked me the most was that it was the first time. I had no idea he would have done something like this update because he's always been so kind and thoughtful. December 1st, 2024. First, I'm sorry I haven't replied to any of your messages. The post was getting so much attention that it was too much for me to handle. More than 100 people were telling me to break up with my boyfriend. We did end our relationship. I wish I could say I told him about all of the comments and how well they were put together. Don't get me wrong, they helped me, but I'm afraid of conflict, so this is probably not the exciting news that many people were looking for. I should add that we did make up the day after my birthday surprise or attack. I wrote about it on Facebook because I wasn't happy with how we were handling things. I see now that it's because nothing was settled. I just told him I was sorry, and he didn't give me a chance to be mad. I thought that if I told him to come to my place next week, I would have more time to think of a natural way to bring it up. Once we talked about it, we could move on. In the end, I brought it up yesterday while I was taking him back to his place after lunch. Even though I hadn't meant to, I did it because I didn't know how to handle my anger. In the end, I just asked him why he did it, and I tried really hard not to sound mad because I don't like being mad. In his words, he wished to meet the people who raised me. His answer was nonsense for many reasons, but the main one is that I told him straight out that my older sister raised me. We all laughed that meeting her and her husband was like meeting the parents. I told him he could meet anyone he wanted, but he couldn't force me to be with people I had told him I didn't want to be with. What he said next is what really made me break up with him. He said it was hard to understand why someone would stop talking to their family. Let me tell you again how many times I have told him why I have stopped talking to my parents. He's asked more than once. I think I had an epiphany after he said that. He hasn't tried to understand me, so I know he doesn't. I told him I didn't want to see him after I dropped him off at his place because I don't want to put in work with someone who doesn't care about what I want. It wasn't easy for him, but his feelings are no longer my problem. I'm mostly sad right now. I know that in the long run, I'll be better off. I loved him, but breakups are bad. I think I'll be fine, and I appreciate all the help.